Hey everyone, this is Cori Kurtz, who hasn't watched a single episode of Better Humans, but here she is live. Go
I've
ahead,
opened
ask her any.
I've opened two of them. I've opened them and they're waiting to be watched. I think by the end everyone will know it's because I'm kind of busy and I haven't had a chance.
All right. Last question. Is there anywhere I should not go in terms of like family or religion or politics or blah, anything
Mm-mm.
like that?
Mm-mm.
Okay, open book. Love it. All right. Well, let's get started. All right. Hey, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Better Humans. And today I have such a special guest on for you guys. Her name is Cori Kurtz, and she is someone who I've been in circles with for a long time, and actually only pretty recently we've just kind of like rekindled and like sat down, hung out, had more talks and more discussions. And there's so much overlap with what she's doing and the things that she really cares about, and the things that I'm doing and the things that I really care about, that I just said, Cori, we have to do a podcast because this is going to be the best opportunity for us to just take everything that we're all like jamming on, excited about. It's all up here in our heads. It's in the daily actions of everything that we're doing, and just be able to lay it all out on the line and share with each other and share with you, the listener, about everything that's going on. I mean, and the the landscape is pretty expansive. I mean, we talk about longevity, we talk about health, we could talk about chiropractic, we could talk about AI, we could talk about small business, we could talk about like large business, economic factors, economic shit. Like we could literally geek out, and that's what I'm here to do today with you guys. And so, Cori, thanks so much for coming on. How are you doing today?
It's a great day. It's the I have this relationship with the weather. It's always how I want it to be, and it's 75 and sunny. Feeling pretty amazing.
Yeah, for real. So where are you calling in from today?
I'm in Atlanta at Bronson and I, my husband and I have a condo in Atlanta that we Airbnb down near the stadium, Mercedes-Benz Stadium.
Yeah,
Fingers
cool.
crossed, World Cup brings lots of tenants.
Oh yeah, no, it definitely should.
Yeah.
Like without a doubt.
And we
You'll
have the Super Bowl in 2028. So,
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, yeah. It's gonna be, yeah, you guys are squared away on that. Absolutely.
I'm in a
It's
good
funny.
spot.
I used to live down there. Actually, I lived down at Northside Drive in Atlantic Station.
Yeah,
So it's definitely it's a hot and popping area. I think you guys have a pretty solid spot.
I love it. And I do all the cleaning for two reasons. One, because I want to keep tabs on how people treat all my stuff. And then also because there's better margins that way. Are we allowed to swear on here?
Oh, fire away. I
I was
won't.
going to,
Sorry, go ahead.
I don't need to swear right now. It occurred to me that I have that question.
Yeah, I think that's kind of that's the whole thing, is that we're just here to be real. We're here to be raw, and help others become better humans. Actually, you just reminded me. I should probably let you guys all know what the show is all about. Look at me being a great host. So this is Better Humans. It's a show about all the ways that we're going out and reaching out, and affecting others' lives in a positive way. In entrepreneurship, I believe it's one of the greatest forms of personal development. It'll push you and stretch you in ways that you really were not anticipating. And on the other end of that, you end up becoming a better human. And in the same way, we use our businesses to reach out and help others. So mutual interest, shared values, trust, all of those factors come into play when it comes to reaching out and helping others through our business. And we get on the line to talk about all the ways we're reaching out, helping and impacting others positively at a micro level, at a macro level, and everything in between. So Cori, welcome to Better Humans. And my
Thank you.
first question to you is, there's a lot of things changing for you right now. Can you tell us? I want to go back all the way to when you started. When you started really taking a focus into, we'll say, like, I'm going to use a broad term. I'm going to use the term health and maybe even wellness. When did those factors really become important to you? And then how did that shift into something like a career for you?
I would say I started taking an interest in wellness more in the field of mental health, maybe 3 years ago, 4 years ago now. That was because I was leaving the Jehovah's Witness religion that I was raised in with my family. And so I had my entire community and family cut me off. So I had to get through that. And so I started
Oh,
to figure out how to be stable since I had these three kids that were looking to me for stability.
okay. Well, that opens up a lot of questions for me. And the first one is, okay, so you were a part of Jehovah's Witness and then you decide that this is no longer for me. Usually religion has super, super deep ties into like some of like not just our character, but our core values and even the principles that we live our life from. So what caused you to take like if that religion and belief system was a box, what caused you to take the box and set it down and walk away from it?
Sure. I mean, I don't do well inside boxes anyway, so it was always a little bit of a tension. uh, So I think that was just an undercurrent all the time. But I think being a mother and as the children kept getting older and becoming more self-aware and looking at things they wanted to become or do or try or experience, the mandate to teach them from a fear-based perspective,
Hmm.
I was next to impossible for me. I was really struggling with having to teach them these things were right or wrong and be judgmental or it just I didn't
Yeah.
fit and I didn't want to. Bronson and I both we just were not we weren't happy there. We weren't fitting in there, and I think because we were a nice little family unit of our own, we were able to consider what it would be like if we all just left. Whereas before, it's like if you leave, there is nobody. So
Right.
we had each other, and we left as a little uh, core and started rebuilding as a family. The kids had to rebuild. Bronson had to rebuild. I had to rebuild. So I was going towards ways of opening my mind. I didn't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater, like you were talking about the values and there was a lot of good things that I was
Yeah.
taught. I loved the Bible. I had a great relationship with my Creator. So I had to figure out how to keep all of those things intact, even though I didn't want to be part of the organization where they tell you you don't get to have a relationship with God if you're not in it.
Wow. Huh. So I want to tie this back to my original question, but this is kind of where my brain's going. And usually I like to just kind of follow my brain and my thought patterns when it comes to stuff like this. But if this is a box and we set it down and we're walking away from it, what what are you kind of looking to replace it with if you are looking to replace it? But what do you do after that where there is like this one life and this one identity and you walk away? What fills that void for you and your family unit?
Well, first, I think it might be a process. Maybe it's different for everyone. I'm not 100% sure. But the first thing I filled that void with was lots of mistakes and experimentation. All
Mm,
the things that I had never been permitted to consider before. It was wide open now. There was nothing to lose. Bronson and I are both pretty adventurous, pretty like, yeah, let's try anything. Let's learn from our mistakes rather than like observe possible caution signs. So we've had a very flavorful life for the past 4 years, figuring out a lot of things. We've traveled a lot, um, tried new things, and then really where we're finding ourselves kind of settle is we really enjoy business. We like the challenge of business that
yeah.
you mentioned at the outset. Um, we also care a lot about community and family. Um, we want our children to feel like they have a community because that was one of the things we really loved growing up in. But how do you have that outside of the religion? We didn't know. So we feel like we've really tried to have a part in Woodstock and keep an interest in what's going on in Woodstock and Canton, and really get to know the people And we have a lot of training, if you want to call it that, on caring for people, because they are a very close-knit organization. So you're supposed to know what's going on with everybody. And they teach you how to be very sacrificing and care about your neighbor. So we have those qualities. That comes naturally to us. Now we've just found a community that doesn't have like a condition for accepting our love.
Yeah, when you make it like an obligation, or almost like a contractual thing, it's like, are you really helping, or are you just covering your own ass? Like, what's the driver here? I help people, and like I've talked about this on some earlier episodes, but for the longest time I really didn't know. It's like, why do I childhood? Was I praised for doing good? Was it like I saw examples of people helping and then they got praised? It was just taught to me that it was good to help, and therefore I try to do it. And honestly, I can't even remember back that far or what would have really caused it. But there is an alignment that I do see, that I'm a believer in Jesus Christ, and I believe that God sent His Son to die, and that way I can know the Father through the death and resurrection of that Son. And when I look at that as the example of that is the ultimate giving, it makes me think that, like, well, duh, if I'm designed after Him, then of course I want to give. It should just be a natural byproduct of the outpouring of love. If I receive it and it comes out through my actions, this is what it should look like. And that's kind of where I've arrived at now. And I can take different angles. I can try to logic it, or I can just ride the wave, And so, yeah, that's what kind of sparked the whole podcast, and like why I wanted to like talk with other people like you who are doing these sorts of these mutually beneficial efforts with yourself, with your family, your community that you're building up, your customer base, just everything. So to tie it back to the question that I had before, it's like you said it's a bit of a process to like shift out of Jehovah's and get into like building your own community. Leaving that organization, was that like I don't want to like, I'm trying not to put it in a box, but like was it a COVID thing? Was it like you guys are just fed up with like all the COVID stuff, and then this was the final straw, and then you leave it so that you can break out and get away from all of the restrictions, I guess?
Well, COVID made it where we were not meeting in the buildings anymore. And the ministry mandate went away for a time. We weren't to go in the ministry. So then, because like 5 years ago, I was called a pioneer, and I was going in the ministry door to door, or standing at those carts that you see them standing at, like 70 hours a month. Like I was like a poster child Jehovah's Witness.
Really?
So, yeah, really. I mean, I really believed it. I was trying to save people's lives back then. But yeah, so when COVID happened, they stopped meeting. And so then you have to get on Zoom for meetings. And if you didn't go to the meetings in the buildings before COVID, then, one or two in a row, and then they're going to start wondering, like, why are you missing meetings? Are you starting to stray? What's going on? So when you don't call on to Zoom, the same thing happens. And then it's, we were on Zoom long enough that it was like, okay, if you're not turning on your camera, what's going on? And they tried to establish an etiquette. And around then, Bronson was just like, I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore. I get, anxious and stomach hurts every time it's time to go on the meetings. And then they started making it difficult for me to get on because I wasn't the head of the household. And so I have my kids all dressed in like Sunday clothes, church clothes. And I'm trying to get on the Zoom and prepare them to participate over Zoom. And they're littler. My oldest at the time, I guess, was 13, and my youngest was 5. And and so I went over to my friend's house because she was in a different congregation, and they were letting her have the link because she was a single mom. And then she put in that there were 7 of them, and that included the 4 of me and my 3 kids. And then her elders called and scolded her for socializing with me during COVID, because we're supposed to be quarantining. So there's a lot of people started being like, why am I working so hard? And I started having the space to ask those questions. So yeah, and I mean we could literally talk for hours about my journey in this religion, but I love the original question because being allowed to address mental health, that was a first, because in the religion they don't encourage that at all. Don't talk to well, at least I think they've maybe changed a little on this, but in my upbringing, my parents were taught that you shouldn't talk to psychiatrists because they're going to open your mind to worldly concepts, you know, and you should just talk to us, read your Bible, pray. So when I started being allowed to explore some of the ways I was raised might have been affecting me, and see that there were some unhealthy, toxic things that I could shed and be free of. I made some pretty exponential changes really quickly. And then Bronson encouraged me to start selling my skill of making slideshows for memorial services or graduations. And so I did that. I started making slideshows, and I would get creative. I'd go and like do interviews with the family, and we would show them at events, and then the people in the family, it would be their first time viewing it, and they would hear each other talk about each other, or they would watch Grandpa tell a story, even though he's passed and it's his funeral, and he told a story about the grandchildren, and I have pictures of it. And I was pretty good at storytelling. So started a business, called it Story by Cori, started going to networking. A lot of people are starting businesses in our little community. So then they were like, hey, could you make a video telling the story of our business? So I started doing small promotional videos for like Eden smoothies. I was helping them when they started.
Yeah.
I helped them get the Kickstarter video done, so they got to raise money. Yeah, a bunch of people hired me to come help out. But then, as I mentioned, there were lots of mistakes, and so I think I used too much of the freedom too fast, and needing to I bit off more than I can chew, and I was needing a little bit of like downtime I didn't want to be a business owner anymore. I was like, you know what? There's other people making videos that are just as good. Meyer, she came into my life, and I was like, here, you should do that.
Lee's so great, isn't she? She's killing it right now.
Yeah.
I see some of the stuff she's doing. Yeah.
Meeting people like her she was very, comfortable in her Christianity, and she was not judgmental. And she was meeting me at times when I was doing things that are sinful, how to try them. And she was aware, and still no judgment. And I was like, is this actually what they were talking to me? Like, they taught me about Christianity.
Is this grace?
Yes, that word. That word was a whole new concept, and hearing it and then experiencing it through it, and not just her. There's a lot of people that come to mind that taught me that. So took a little break, and then the next thing that happened is I realized I don't really have, I have a strong work ethic. I'm able to work, I will push myself, but I don't have any education in having a job or growing a business, because I got married super young, focused on volunteer ministry work, then kids, then being a good wife. So I started working for a friend that had a chiropractic office, whose assistant had left him, and he was trying to one-man show the place. And I was like, well, I need to learn how to have a job. So why don't we work that out? And I started having a job.
I think that as volunteer ministry and raising children goes, you might be one of the most, it's like people who don't want to do what you're asking them to do on both sides, and they're doing it, and they're not doing it how you want them to do it, and so you have to get down on their level and meet them where they're at. Like, that's so I'm talking to both situations, right? But yeah, that's okay. So then your the mental side was breaking away from the old ties you had with your church. And then the physiological side was you got in as an assistant at a chiropractic office. So what does that transition look like? You're exiting like the more traditional roles that you were kind of expected to hold with your upbringing, and you're moving into a job and work and service and things like that. So what does your chiropractic and other physiological health career kind of look like?
Yeah, so he taught me a lot about how the body works with the atlas. He was mostly upper cervical. The
Mm-hmm.
Amanda who I work with now is also specialized in upper cervical, but he had honed in on that specific specialty. So I became very cognizant of how much of my mental condition, my all of my health was affected by the state of my spine, and especially up here in the top.
Right.
And then because of his specialty, he was high dollar and he was very specific, isn't it? Like you come to him for 2 1-hour visits in the beginning. He gets all the information on you. He does this one adjustment with a specific instrument based on the data that he collects. And then you go for a week and come back and tell us how it felt. And then he decides, do you need 6 visits, 10 visits, or 12 visits, or sometimes 15. And that's all he sells. So they're high ticket
Right.
packages. And so now I need to understand what I'm selling and also experience it, which I had experienced it. And then I need to be able to sell. So the way we had our marketing, it was very like, at first it was referral only, so it depended completely on my phone skills.
Right.
And then we started expanding to online, so then it also still depended on my skills with the lead board and usually the human touch point. And I think my closes were around like 77% of people I talked to closed. And
Heck
so
yeah.
I was like,
That's
wow,
massive.
yeah. So I'm grateful for my training in the ministry because they teach you how to trespass at times when no one's expecting you and bring up the Bible. So if I can do that with a dog that's not happy that I'm trespassing, I can cold call with the best of them. And
Oh my gosh, you're hilarious. Man, do I need a sales rep like you right now, man?
okay, so the fact that like what you said just there, like when you're really good at sales, apparently like you can sell anything. I ended up having myself tested by there was a gentleman that I met that his company does executive coaching for big companies, and they first test everybody in the organization. So he offered to let me take this super important Hogan test, and my profile came back, and he said that you don't really often get someone with sales skill scores like yours. And what I would tell a professional is if they're choosing between a Harvard graduate who studied it and you, that they should create a position for you before they choose someone else. That's how good you are
Right.
on paper. And I was like, well, that's cool. I just need to learn how to like polish that, I guess. Where do you put that into action? So then I was like, can you do that? Can you just market to the community that you're a sales rep for stuff you believe in? Because that'd be fun.
Are you asking? Yeah, absolutely. I think that's also like a job board, right? Like,
What is
hey,
that
this
called?
is me. I don't know. There's tons of them. There's like Indeed, Monster. I mean, there's a ton of different job boards, but like
But what do you
I
call yourself?
sell, high ticket closer, I guess,
Oh,
you know?
okay. Should have asked you. Because what I ended up doing is saying that I like to work in startups because I'm also good at systems and procedures and I'm creative.
Yeah.
And I have this like, some people call it naivety. I don't know if it is at this point because I see what they're saying and I still choose to stay in it. But I just think everything can happen. And so I don't feel limited when I go after a sale.
I call it delusion. And
Yeah.
I was just talking to someone earlier this morning about it. I was on a phone call and it had to do with entrepreneurship. And I was explaining that like entrepreneurs they're visionaries, they're dreamers, but it's not just that you have these high hopes up in the sky about what you want the world to be one day. It's that you have a dream or an envision of how you want the world to be, and you're delusional enough to reach out, grab it, and place it into reality. And that's entrepreneurship. So when you're like, oh, I'll go after this high ticket sale because the alternative is I don't do it and get nothing, or I do it and I might get something. And so I'm delusional enough to at least set foot in the arena and fight for it. Because if I don't, I get nothing.
I've never tried on that thought. If I don't, I'll get nothing.
Oh yeah,
I mean, pretty protected. I've been very insulated. So if I fail at stuff, I have Bronson, who is able to provide a living for us. So I have a lot of freedom to trial and error stuff.
Yeah. That is, it's a nice perk.
Now there were times where I thought Bronson and I weren't going to make it, and I had a whole different fire to succeed, and I didn't really like I wasn't my best self under that kind of pressure.
Yeah, oh man, like especially if you two come together on something, like you've probably heard the scripture about a braid of 3 cords is not easily broken.
Yeah.
Like you come into alignment with you and your spouse and God on a vision, on like his vision and what you can do to go out and help people, unstoppable.
Mm-hmm.
Even just the two of you, who I know Bronson's a killer. He's really, really good at what he does. And so even that alone, just like you and him as a partnered pair, really, really great. I could see that working very well. So definitely, I'm not encouraging you like, oh, go Cori, step out on your own. Just, go figure it out. Be delusional and go rip your reality into existence. Like, I'm not saying that for you, but that's like categorically what entrepreneurs do, right? And for a lot of people, it's you eat what you kill in entrepreneurship a lot of times too. So
have you ever read Patrick Bet-David's Your Next 5 Moves?
I haven't read it, but I have heard of that book.
Yeah, I read it because he spoke at a conference that I went to in the chiropractic industry. I went to the Parker seminar twice in Vegas, and they bring on pretty awesome speakers. And one year it was Ed Milet and Tim Tebow, who's doing amazing things on the planet. And then the next year it was like David Goggins, and Patrick Bet-David, and then some other people too. But he encourages you to identify your secular identity, and I think there's 4 or 5 ways you can identify secularly. And I actually identified closer to an intrapreneur than an entrepreneur, and for probably a lot of reasons. Probably in part because I was raised to be subject to my head of my household, head of the congregation, all those things. So I'm brainwashed to be subject, but then also I don't like to stay in one place very long. I don't like responsibility and commitments. I'm in the one with my kids, like I'm their mother the whole rest of this life, so I can't, that one's done. I'm committed to my marriage, that one's in. I've got a very solid gym membership I care about. But like I don't need all of the responsibility of owning a business, but I do like the creativity of it. So I look for opportunities to find someone who wants to succeed and who wants to go out on their own and be the owner and just make their life much more, like do all the things that are hard for the business owner.
That's actually, I mean, it is a whole different skill set in and of its own. And like I have a business. This business has clients. My business is an agency, and my whole role is to go into someone who has a product, service, or why am I blanking on the third? There's product, there's service, goods. Wow, my brain just absolutely. Okay. Anyways, someone who has a product or a service, and come alongside them and multiply what they currently have. And so that's definitely like it's a needed role, because the entrepreneur they may have a superpower, but they're like the bill ends or the buck ends with them. Like, so if and I love drawing this as an illustration. I might go add it in post, but basically there's this illustration I like to do that's a dot and a vector. It's like a physics thing, right? And the energy that you can output as an entrepreneur is the exact same as the energy you can put out as an intrapreneur. But the issue though is that you've got marketing, you've got sales, you've got finance, you've got like operations, you've got HR, you've got insurance, like literally everything. And so like, and it all taxes you from all directions. And so the vector of energy that you can put out is minimal, but you've got like 6 arrows shooting off of you and they're all not shooting very far. Now, your job is to get rid of all the arrows so that you can work inside of the arrow that like you do best. One of my clients is like an absolute genius when it comes to designing his product and building a better product so that the customer ultimately has more joy in their experience with his product. Where he's not good is like finance, like flow of funds, cash flow of funds through a business, scaling, like order of operations in terms of cash flow, like just stuff like that. Like it's just not his forte. It's like that's not what his brain was born with, but it's something that he has to do. And he's actively hiring to get someone whose forte that is, put them in place so he can grow his vector arrow to get more output in that area where he shines best. And in the same way, the entrepreneur is that way because it's like I have this area of expertise. I can plug in right alongside the entrepreneur. So like that finance officer or the marketing officer or the sales ops, the CRO, like all that stuff, like those are the entrepreneurs that come in and it's their job to just drive the organization in each of their respective facets. And so those roles are critical.
Yeah, and they take ownership of their work for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
But so that for myself, like I found myself identifying there because I don't think I had found anything that was genuinely my passion. I didn't even think to look. I really loved what the chiropractor was doing, and I loved selling that and watching people get better in 90 days. And then I met Dr. Amanda, and I really loved how she approaches holistic wellness, and educated me on the rest of the spine and on all of the different components of nervous system health. So having gone towards that, and then applying all of that for myself and my own health, and then still always having this ability to like think of ideas on ways to sell, ways to connect, ways to like, this ice cream place is struggling to make sales, but there's an Italian restaurant opening up down the street. What if they sell them all the ice cream? What if they offer an affogato that's spiked? Like always thinking of ways that this.
That's so funny. We might have the same brain.
Yeah,
because that's literally all I'm doing is like connecting dots where like if you have this special skill of identifying opportunity and constructing the win-win-win scenario, you can get paid a lot of money for that. Like a lot.
I haven't paid a lot of money for it yet, but I still love doing it. I love how it feels. I'm paid in like energy. And if it starts happening, like we talked about having a place in Woodstock where it's pedestrian only. And
yeah,
ways to give all these people who now live, work, and play in Woodstock a place to, sponsor golf carts. So their business names are out there, and then we have the option to check out a golf cart when we don't want to walk through our pedestrian area. Like I'm always thinking of that stuff. And what's happening now that I'm on the other side of trauma and healing, and I found this literally, I started working in a healing house for families with a doctor who's excellent at helping the nervous system find its homeostasis. And as I reached that homeostasis, all these ideas and all these skills are now sharpening into, I don't know what I'm about to become, but I know it's big.
For sure. Okay, well that's actually great because that's kind of where I wanted to go and talk about next. So part of the reason why you and I kind of like sparked off recently, it was like we were at a networking event and then we ran outside because you wanted to go check out this super sweet golf cart that one of my clients had. And And then I admit, I feel like I don't like that I did it, but I'm pretty sure I had like complained about something. And I was like, yeah, this stuff I'm doing, like, I don't feel hungry, but I'm pretty sure I need to eat some food right now. And then maybe you asked about it, and I was like, oh, it's peptides. And you were like,
Yeah.
what? And we just both just started going, there's hereditary, this, the clinical study, this, we just started geeking out. And it was like, boom, this explosion of energy. So I will say, like, one of the, I don't want to reduce it down to a project because I'm pretty sure it is a business. It's going to be a brand for you, right? So that's what I'll call it. I think that just based on what we were talking about before, it's not fully flushed out in terms of an identity. It's not fully flushed out in terms of like a target audience or anything like that, but you're actively working on it. But it's centered around peptides and longevity. Am I correct in saying that, at least?
Yeah, I think that the term that's like resonating well this week is holistic um, weight loss. That word works because GLPs are a type of peptide that we use for blood sugar stabilization, insulin sensitivity, and we lose weight because of how that affects our body. But that can be done, and you can be eating really bad and never exercising if you take enough of it. And so that's not holistic. That's not an approach that
Right.
encompasses full health, and it's not sustainable either off of the.
That's that. I was just talking with someone down in Woodstock this morning, even, and I was like, so technically, I could be eating ice cream and Pop Tarts, and I would still lose the weight. But the problem is that I wouldn't be healthy. I would, my body would just be voiding all of the stuff that it didn't need, and then I would be, I don't know, weak. I'd probably get sick a lot still. So you
Well,
still
also
have to.
that's malfunction because we're designed to lose weight when we burn more energy. But if we do it wrong, then we end up with overloading other parts of our body. The filters, the
Right.
mitochondria are meant to produce energy. And they're signaling DNA too to behave a certain way. So you're making lasting changes that if they're not being monitored by medical professionals, which is really hard to do. You know this because the medical model in America hasn't really allowed space for doctors to study how a peptide can help a patient because our system is really much more set up for managing decline.
I
If
actually have been seeing, so it's not part of the medical system or medical training or education that people go through, but there are a handful of doctors that are on YouTube that they're literally sitting there saying like, I I don't recommend you do this. I can't even sell it to you. Maybe don't do it for research purposes only. But when in clinical studies when it was done this way, and then in my experience I've been able to experience this, and so like they have to put all these disclaimers and caveats and CYA statements, but it's like the medical industry is pushing for this like I think I likened it to code earlier because DNA is code, right? It's our cellular code, and there's a language in front end programming called CSS. It stands for cascading style sheets. And one of the things you can do is like there's like the base layer of how the code should look and feel, and then you can go to another level of specificity and say, for actually all of my, we'll say like a web app looks like this, except for this page right here. This page is going to have a special CSS file, and that CSS file says this and looks like this. And then even on that special page that has a special file in line on the HTML, you can say, actually, I know that this special page's file says this, but this line specifically right here, we're going to make it rainbow colored, right? So it's this like cascading specificity of instructions on how something should look or feel in your code, as simply as I could put it like that. So then I'm like, okay, so peptides, they're going in and they're signaling receptors in my cells to behave a different way when it's introduced to things like food, how it should absorb the food, gut, blood barrier, where it's sending the food, how it's sending the food, what enzymes it's encased in. Just so much instruction is being overwritten so that my body is working in a more, we'll say, like, efficient but healthy pattern, as opposed to what my DNA was instructed to do previously, probably through, like a decade of like poor eating habits, poor exercise habits, drinking alcohol, just different things like that. Yeah, sorry, I just went off on this tangent, but this is literally like the exact conversation I was literally having with a guy this morning. And because he noticed, he was like, "Did you lose weight?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm down about 20 pounds." And this is like over a 5-week period. And he was like, "Dang, that's really good." And I'm like, "Well, I can't take all the credit. Like, I have been exercising and I have been eating better, like significantly better. Just probably like not as much as I would like to. And that's something that I'm actively working on right now as well, is putting the right amount of food in my body so that I can do more of these metabolic processes like muscle repair, fat burn, just other, glucose, blood, brain, like all this stuff, right? So, yeah, that's sorry for the geek out. I just like where I'm at,
That what you're experiencing, that's the trend, right? We all are so interested, and there's so much information, and some of it's conflicting, some of it builds on itself. The point is that it's not regulated yet, so there's no
Right.
like agreed upon standard that has gone out by a group of people we say we trust to make decisions like that. From which to
Yeah.
deviate from. We don't even have like a nucleus to deviate from. There's your little guy. So,
Yeah, sorry if you can hear him. But you know what? Real, raw humans.
yeah,
I got two babies here.
two babies. I might have a train pass by. It's extremely loud. Um, but yeah, so it's nothing is being completely regulated yet, but we're not waiting. We're like, yeah, but we already know what it can do. So if I can access it, I'm going to do it. And I'm going to protect myself with watching the right YouTubers or the right people who are posting, the information that makes sense. And I'm going to fact check it in AI, and then I'm practically a doctor,
So that's actually really interesting too, because there are these peptides, and the main hang up that I had was like, okay, I have to inject it in my body with a needle. And still, like, I literally I'm saying it right now, and I'm literally getting the reaction in my neck here. So I have fun news for anybody listening. I have an involuntary phobia of needles, where like logically I know that like this is fine, this is safe, this, like, you're okay, but my body doesn't know that. My brain knows that. My body doesn't, for whatever reason. I don't know. We should probably explore that one day. Um,
he'll tell you.
so like the story in my brain is like, oh my God, I have to inject it. But then not only do I have to inject it, but it shows up as a powder that needs reconstitution. And I go, oh no, I'm all the way back to like honors chemistry in high school, when I had to learn about like chemicals, bonds, titration, um, reaction, foaming, like all this stuff. And I'm like, oh man, this is a lot. So literally from like the sources that like you and I have talked about and that we trust, I've gone through and I take their entire web page and I just drop it into a project inside of Claude and a couple of other sources. And I go like, I've just purchased this, and these are the supplies that it says that I need. I want you to build me uh, a utilization guide for this, so that a utilization guide based on the research and the utilization instructions inside of this domain. I want you to build this for me, but put it in like a dummy proof, reduced, simplified way, so that I absolutely cannot mess this up, injure myself, or do anything like harmful. Right. So I was like, I need safety rails, because boy, do I hate needles, and boy, am I not like a pharmacist. Right.
Right. So you're definitely aware of the gravity of what you were wanting to attempt, but like you only know what you know. You don't know what you don't know, or whatever that expression is. So, I mean, I was making those same guardrails months ago when 10 months ago now, when I wanted to start and nobody was showing me how to do it. I was like, all right, I'll figure this out. And I actually ended up finding a pretty good source of education on peptides from Dr. Seeds, who's been making it a career to study peptides. And I think he's a biogenetic engineer. And he posted a university. So I would take that content and put it in AI and say, how does this compare with what I figured out my doses should be? Because it had my blood work. I tested my hormones for like 5 months every morning and entered all that data in there. Like, I really did become my own medical provider. And then I would go to actual medical providers for the blood work and for the, questions that I had. But nobody knows the answers because peptides are not part of their standard protocols of prescription. So when I started with Dr. Amanda and we were, expanding her practice and looking at what to add to the practice, from the very beginning, I was saying, maybe we could add peptides. And she was like, not ready. That's, the wild, wild west. I'm not risking my license. And then it just kind of unfolded in a very organic way. I like to, maybe one of my delusions is I think everything's happening for me. So at the right time, someone came in who had identified that you shouldn't be buying your peptides off of websites from China. Rather, wouldn't you be buying from laboratories I can verify are in the States, and they're sending it to a third-party tester, and they go through these standards and they produce this documentation, and all you have to do is pay a small upcharge to me, and I will make sure all your peptides come from them. And I was like, I'll do that. So I started buying all my stuff from him, but first I needed a medical, like some kind of license, practitioner's license, because I'm just Cori. So I went to first Dr. Amanda, she said no. Then I went to a different chiropractor who was like, yeah, I'll do that with you. And so he opened the account with me and used his license to order those peptides. So then I was using them on myself because I wasn't ready to tell anybody that I knew what I was doing.
Yeah, and I think that, by the way, is such it's such an integrity play for you to be like, I not only recommend this, but have been doing it for 9 months now.
Yeah, and chronicling it and learning, like, why am I feeling tired? Matsi is supposed to make me energetic. And then I learned that I'm probably instigating so much methylation. Am I supplementing with enough methyl donors? What's a methyl donor? I have learned so much. And having all these medical professionals in my world to be like, this is what I learned, and I can't ever explain it right. So it's like a lot of back and forth. That's why I got the AI necklace too, so that I could start remembering what I learned. Because it's like a fire hose of information that I'm thirsty for right now. So since talking to you, I've even evolved further. It's been 2 weeks since we talked about you not being hungry that morning. And I started feeling determined. I was meeting people like you on a pretty steady basis and thinking, I know more, have access to more information. I want to be helping people who are doing peptides in the Wild West do it safer. So as soon as I put that out there, of course, in the universe sends the exact channel for me to access pharma grade peptides. So first I learned the difference between research grade and pharma grade. And everybody hits that roadblock and they're like, oh, well, so you can't get pharma grade until it's produced by big pharma. So everyone's fingers are crossed and they're waiting for retatrutide to hit the market when Eli Lilly says it can. But it turns out you can still access pharma grade retatrutide. And I have. And I'm about to start selling.
Yeah. That's literally why we just in our conversations, one of the unspoken, unseen advantages that is all 100% timing is first mover. Your first mover advantage can literally make or break an entire business. And so, yeah, we sent an article that Lilly was looking at putting it, I think, they're looking at putting pharmaceutical grade retatrutide into their product circulation. Because I think up until now, they've been almost predominantly tirzepatide. Is that right?
Yeah, and then all of a sudden when they got access to retatrutide, now they're posting that compounding pharmacies that compound tirzepatide and add different things to it, that they are making it possibly contaminated or I forget what it said, but it was some trash piece on compounded tirzepatide, and I'm like, you guys are not
Mhm.
subtle.
Yeah, yeah. Buy our product, and anything else is literal toxic garbage, and you should
Right.
not be injecting it in your body. It's like,
Yeah, no,
well, hang on there.
first they're making everyone scared before they're even offering them a replacement. Like the marketing is genius. I mean, I'm not trying to compete, but they also come with some the difference between pharma grade and even compounding pharmacies are way better because they are they're only allowed to be a compounding pharmacy if they meet certain regulations.
Hmm.
So they have to produce their products with good production standards. I think that's actually the words that go with the acronym.
Yeah, and I think there's also a stipulation about like the truth. It's not like truth in advertising, but it's like when they produce a product and it says 99% purity, it must be 99% purity, right? And so the purity of your retatrutide, tirzepatide, like whatever those peptides are, like a compounding pharmacy is like they have to have achieved that number, otherwise like they can get fined and stuff like that for it. Um,
They don't
so
have
yeah.
to they don't have to test stability. Some of them do, but it's not mandated. And they don't have to test for toxins or heavy metals. Also, the what's considered a batch is different when it's from compounding pharmacies, and certainly if it's research grade, to if it's pharma grade, because they have to be able to. We're a litigation culture. They have to be able to track what batch got so and so sick or
Right.
took it and died, and they have to be
Yeah.
able to pull it. Um, so those regulations are very protective. So that's what, and considering that this isn't just a supplement, this isn't even like a medication that suppresses a symptom. These are signaling molecules telling our DNA to change. You want that stuff to be very cleanly produced. You don't
Oh,
want
of
to be.
course. Yeah.
So I was not wanting to bring to market the research grade. Um, and I know that's what a lot of people are going to continue to do because it's affordable and you can get results. And some people
But
are
they might not
comfortable.
have like insurance, right? So like it's like I'm gonna pay cash, so I'm gonna pay lower cash than if I have insurance. So like whenever it does end up becoming like pharmaceutically like like FDA studies and approval and like when it becomes a little more mainstream, like they're gonna want to use their insurance for it because the money's already going to the insurance. Why would they pay out of their pocket for it? But the people who do pay out of their pocket for it, they're like, I need the most effectiveness for the least amount of dollars, and that's the whole equation in their head.
Yeah. And I feel like I have enough education on that too. If a person, um, wants to come to me and ask for advice, I would teach them what I've learned. About how the pHs affect one another if you blend or if you separate. Um, the thing about needing to support the methyl donors if you're taking something that's for your mitochondrial health, you have to support that. There's lots of information that I'm happy to just share, but I definitely feel excited to be. And so that's why I don't know if it's a company or a brand, because I also still care a lot about helping people and communities connect and businesses who are needing help finding synergy. Like I have a lot of things I want to offer. I just don't know what order it's going to go in.
I think that like something that might be helpful as an exercise because you're not alone. You're not the first person to come along and be like, I have skills and I have value, and the application of those skills and value can be applied in so many different places. Where do I start? What do I do? And that's where I think you have to get out of like the tactical of what you can do and get into more of like a principle basis of like that's why I was asking like he's like it's a brand around like wellness and longevity, or I think I said peptides and longevity, but more specifically, like longevity is like, although it is like a measurable thing, it's also like it's a conceptual thing. Like I don't know what bus is going to hit me tomorrow, but I'm going to optimize my daily life so I can try to live the longest life possible, right? So like maybe your application of the brand is like based in longevity, or maybe it's in maximizing your life, and like the ways that you can get the most out of the time that you spend with your eyes open and the time that you spend with your eyes shut. Like a part of that is like a peptide, or like a peptide and supplement stack, or a peptide stack with supplementate, like, and that's like a component of it. But then it's like, okay, now how are we optimizing our sleep? Now how are we optimizing our vision for our life and our strategy? And I don't like, that's kind of dabbling into like life coaching and stuff like that. But like if the principle of it is, I want people to live the best lives they can possibly be, that's where you can start to throw in like different lines. Like a part of living the best life they could possibly have is they are taking this peptide stack in order to optimize metabolism, energy production, fat loss, muscle gain, so that next summer when Timmy and Tommy are 14 and 16, we're going on that mountain biking trip in Utah, right? It's stuff like that, because it's like the goal. I've always told people, like, ultimately, like, fat comes and goes on me. I've been super in shape. I've done 75 hard. Like I killed it. And like for me also, money comes and goes. I still keep a screenshot of when I had 46 cents in my bank account and ended up moving back home out of the city. Like I mentioned earlier, I used to live down in the city. I drank and partied all my money away, right? And then I ended up moving back in with my parents, and I took a screenshot of the 46 cents in my bank account and said, like, never again. Mm-hmm. So, like, money comes and goes, like my body weight, like, and all that comes and goes. But the thing that really kicked my butt into gear was a visceral fat scoring, and then the threat of my health against that visceral fat score, which I don't even know what the metric is. And even on DEXA scans, they're like, because it's not a ratio. I literally don't know how they come up with the number, but there's ranges where it's like, if you're between 10 and 13, you're like, oh, that's like kind of bad. And then like 13 to 15 is like, hey, it's pretty bad. And like, I was cruising on 15. Anything over 15 is like, no, seriously, kick your butt, like cut this out, change, because you are more susceptible.
Yeah.
What's that?
You're taxing all your organs. Visceral fat is that fat that's like around the organs, and it's making all of them struggle to do their job.
Correct. You make yourself more susceptible to disease, to diabetes, just other stuff like that. And so I was rocking a 13, and I was like, I got to change. This was a huge play in that. And so I see it when you had mentioned that, like, it is a longevity type of supplement for you. I was like, that's kind of in alignment, like, with what I want, because I've got 2 boys. Like, I want to live a long life, and they're only 2.5 and 9 months. And like, already, like, I have so much fun with them. Like, they're my joy. I wake up every single day and they're both smiling at me. And I'm like, I want this every single day. And I can't have that if, like, I'm sick, especially if I die.
I think even too of, like, you spend these decades raising your kids, but then they go and start their lives, and you want to be around for that. And also, we're working all these hours, all this energy, we're juggling, making sure we are present for our kids, present for ourself and our businesses. So we're going to succeed. We're going to be in our 40s and 50s, and we're going to have money. But what will we do with it if our body is giving out? Why not right now start depositing in that investment of wanting to not only have the means, the freedom, but also the body that will bring you to all these places, these experiences you want to have.
Yeah, that's a good point. So it's like, it's investing, or like, you're buying your capability.
Yeah. And I have ideas on, like, I'm sure you have investments for your finances. What are you investing in your body so that it's right there with you when your 401k is paying off?
That's pretty big brain. I like that. I like that line of thought.
And I mean, that I use already for chiropractic, because that's like one of the, people consider chiropractic to be kind of expensive, and it takes time out of busy schedules, but chiropractic is really one of the easiest ways to get a return on your investment in life. It's like when you're trying to drive, I'm in Atlanta. So when I'm driving to Atlanta, when I'm on the express lane, and there's no cars, it's a beautiful drive. It's a great fun. But when you're on the highway and there's a collision, and now you can see the red and orange on the streets all around because people are rerouting and you're crawling.
Oh my gosh.
That's really what happens in our body. Our brain is
Giving me PTSD right now.
oh yeah, we'll get stuck for hours. And you can watch how all the other ancillary roads are filling up because people are trying to go that direction instead. But if we're talking about the brain communicating to a place in our back we injured when we were 15, or all the different places, energy is neither created or destroyed. So as we go through life and we have all these little micro traumas in our life, the energy stays. So that will pull literally on our spine eventually as it builds up. So going and having another human, a well-trained human, put hands on you and release that energy and align the spine and train the body to clear those passages so the communication can get there and be sent and received. Like, why we wouldn't all just make that a regular practice. I mean, I didn't for years. Now I have it and I'm unlocked. And it took time because for years I neglected it. But yeah, so then if you can add peptides to that so that, the signals that are being sent on a clear, wide open express lane are back from when we were in our 20s. I mean, nothing's stopping us.
Dang. Okay. So then where does this idea go? Like, I mean, I lightly mentioned it, but like, it's not my brand. It's kind of like your vision. So like, go up to the stratosphere with me. And it's like, let's say you have a brand and you have and maybe it's tied to, your personal identity. Like I think everyone has a personal brand, whether it's something that you claim to own. Before anyone ever looks at your offer, they look at you.
Yeah.
Say, who is this? Do I like them? Can I trust them? And then they go, okay, I can because I like them and I trust them. Okay, now what is it that they want to sell me? And that's kind of like the flow, like the little like checks of everything. But like, personal brand aside, like where does this idea go for you? What's the end game?
I think it's very transient, again, because it's an evolving industry, rapidly evolving industry. So what I'm trying to do right now is bring to market in the next week. I think I can do it in a week, maybe two, because I'm also avidly trying to launch a marketing campaign for Even Flow. But want to bring to market a service that educates the community and makes the community educated consumers for peptides. And also what will come with that is access to the medical providers who are prescribing pharma-grade peptides at super reasonable prices. Also incorporating blood work and genetic testing in cases that are not normal. So if there's any specific thing a person is wanting to see if peptides can help with, I'm going to learn about them, teach them how to ask the right questions, ask for the right tests, and then I'm going to send them to the medical professional who's making it a shift in their career to be part of the peptide wave medically. So I think if I bring that to market, I'll ride that wave while it lasts. And as the industry changes, I think if I keep developing myself and learning what other people are doing in the world of business and secular identity, then it may be possible. My hope is it may be possible that I'll meet people who would value my input. And then I would offer a service to come in and tell you, how do you revamp your company? And I would teach them to start with the person. What investments are you making in your body and your mental health?
That's so interesting. So actually, there's a friend of a friend who does something very similar, but he actually starts from the spiritual component. His name's Doc Ferris. I'll send you all his info because it might be something good to kind of model. But he starts from the spiritual component and he looks at the owner, the executive, and then the C-suite and says like, all of these efforts and your organization and your team and your people is not grounded and rooted in a kingdom purpose for God. And usually the owner or founder or executive is a believer right? That's usually kind of a little bit of a prerequisite, in which case, okay, well, let's start there. Like who is Jesus Christ? Who is that guy's identity? In which case, if that guy's identity is true, and you can recognize that he is who he says he is, then who are you in relation to that man? But that's his entire offer, is that like he gets in and kind of repurposes, like kind of like grounds their purpose back into the kingdom and the mission and what we're all set out to do. And it's like it could be like a southeastern division of IBM or something like that. It's like it's people operating at that type of level. So then like how do you get this data entry specialist to align with the idea that they have, a kingdom purpose and that they have this identity? And in the same way, like I think that's something that you might want to talk through with people too. I have an employee that I'm working with through a work exchange program, and I was like, hey, you have to do this work because you are a person who has value. And that value is given you by God, not by me, not by man. Like you have intrinsic value by your creator. You should go and pursue these things because you have power, you have value, and you have the capability to do so. Others don't, right? And so in that same way, like when it comes to like their longevity or their wellness or their life or their family unit, like optimizing, or that starting point basically from like the start here in order to obtain this like new identity. Like start here, fix this. Once you fixed this, it'll pour out into these next phases. And I don't know. Am I using too many abstract words like this and that and stuff, or are you following?
I was following. I don't know
Okay.
what too many, but I was following.
Okay. Yeah. So, anyways, Doc's company is pretty cool. It would be a cool one to model. And then there was one other thing that I was thinking of. Brian Johnson. Oh, there's your train.
I know. Should I do this? How do I do that?
No. Leave it in. It's for the listeners. Actually, you know what? I've never done this before, and I want to like. Oh wow, it's literally right behind you. Brian Johnson. I saw something the other day that was so crazy. That's what it is. The Immortals program from Brian Johnson. First of all, have you heard of this guy before? Okay.
Send me that.
Brian Johnson is let me see what his age is. Typed in his name wrong. Okay, so Brian Johnson is 48 years old, but he has the biological markers of like a 25-year-old, and a 28 to 29-year-old. So he launched an offer out to his community and his followers. It is a program called Immortals, and Immortals is all of the, like, literally when you're talking about like Cori wants to come through and build out not just the peptide stack, but the supplementation, the eating regimen, the exercise and wellness regimen, and then like, okay, now let's look into the company, because now that we've optimized you, let's optimize the work that you do,
Yeah,
so you can go reach out.
Yeah, who else in your company needs to be at this level? Like,
Bingo. So that's like it's an entire protocol where all of the stuff that he does on a daily, weekly, quarterly, yearly basis, you also get access to it, and we'll do it with him, alongside him. And it's $1 million per year program.
Yeah. That's kind of that speaks to me.
Right? There you go.
Go
scope him out. Cause it's, I'm not going to lie. I'm pretty sure it was, I think it was Braintree who sold to PayPal. I'm pretty sure he was on Braintree, and then it was like a multi-billion-dollar acquisition through PayPal, and so now he's just sitting on money. Like, what do I do? Oh yeah, try to live forever, like every billionaire does, right?
Like, don't get me wrong. I am motivated by money. I like it. I also just don't really worry about it for some reason. I just haven't gotten there yet. Maybe that will change. That's just where I kind of am with it. But when early in the mental health pursuit, Bronson was listening to a lot of Jordan Peterson. Um, Caveat, I'll just add that I had the idea of maybe marketing my brand as a quoter of other smart people, because I did so much consumption of like self-help, speeches and literature, that it was like all this stuff, and I was always using that in my world around me. But anyway, so Jordan Peterson spoke one time about the ripple effect and the ability to have, as you think I'm just one person. What does it matter if I get up and care for my space and myself every day? No one even talks to me. What does it matter? And he reverse engineered that with if you do those things, if you put that care into yourself, into your space, and you go out into the world and you touch one person, and then they go out into the world and then they touch one person, and he did the whole thing so that you end up having such a huge effect just by your own existence. And I thought, I have a pretty comfortable ability to touch people. Like I'm highly connective when I'm out in the community. Mm-hmm. It's important to me then that, now that I don't have this purpose that they fed me my whole life, what is my purpose now? What, is it just my children? What happens when that's over? What is my purpose now? It's not to go tell everybody about God's kingdom or they'll die. Like there's more there. I'm allowed to be alive for more than just that now.
Actually, fun fact, they'll die whether they know about God's kingdom or not. It's tell them about God's kingdom so they may live and have life eternal.
Well, it just depends on when Armageddon happens, because if they don't accept Jesus in time, then God's going to kill them. Because
right. Right.
So I had urgency. I had to get to them in time. So I no longer believe that. Now it's like, okay, actually.
So funny.
So I thought, well, I want to leave. I want to have a good ripple effect. I want everyone I touch to go out and touch more people, and I want it to be a big impact. And then I thought, I went to this first Parker seminar, and Ed Milet is a writer that talks about his book was called The Power of One More. And his entire message is on work ethic and the ability to just push past that moment of wanting to give up, and all the fruit that's on the other side of that perseverance. And I read his book. It was meh, but the man on a stage in front of 4,000 people, he had all of us laughing and crying at the same moments, like that you could feel his energy. He was so good.
I've seen him on stage too. He's pretty great. Yeah.
While I was watching him, I was like, I have that ability. I need to be on big stages. I can do that for people. I don't know what I'm going to talk about, but I'm going to go up on some stage somewhere and talk about something that helps a lot of people at a time someday. Oh. I said that 4 years ago in February. And then you asked me to be on a podcast, and I was like, wait a second, I don't know if I'm ready for this to be happening. And
dude,
now I'm
okay. But if you understood like the hairs that just stood up when you said that, like it would, Well, you heard it here first, everyone. Cori's going on stages.
My first public stage.
That's so funny. You should look for others to come on and do like a podcast circuit, because this is one of the easiest ways. It's very low stakes. Like it's one of the easiest ways to get out, and like, comics will go down to different bars and showrooms, and like they'll try material. They'll have 10 things in their head. They'll try, and like 2 things landed, 8 things bombed, and they're like, okay, I need to like take the 2 and then go down to the next comedy club and carry those 2 over, but write another 8. Right. And in the same way, like just the way that my entire hope for anyone listening is that they see you and they hear you. Like the products, like the brand, like all this stuff, like none of that really matters as long as they know that like Cori's in their corner. She's going to be as helpful as possible. Like that's the stuff that matters. Like the trust, the integrity, that like exactly what I mentioned earlier, that like, okay, Cori doesn't recommend anything without first putting it in her body. Like that's insane. It would be literally, we would have had a lot of damaged doctors if they all
Tried their
had
medication.
that level of integrity when it came to um, we'll say like recent pandemic events,
Mm.
right? Um, Anywho, Cori, we're actually like about at time here, and I feel like we could just sit here and dream up our life and our business all afternoon. Unfortunately, I have to jump off the line because I have to go help be I have to go be a good dad and go help my wife who's been um, tagged. The boys have been tag teaming her all day, and so I want to get down and get my hands dirty and um,
I always
be
said
with
if I had
them.
my son first, I would have only had one kid. I don't know how people have more than one boy. They're like,
um, we've got
they're
our work cut out for us. It's so much, but like in a really good way. And you know what? We actually don't have hard kids. Like the kids aren't hard. We're just both exhausted. Someone was saying this to us the other day. It's like the problems aren't complex right now. It's like he's hungry. He needs to eat. He's learning to potty train. So like you walk alongside him through that process. Like these aren't hard problems. The problem is that we're exhausted, just not sleeping and that's and like once you recognize that that's the problem, it's like you just kind of like slow down and take the crying and the screaming and I don't want that or he touched this or like I'm not sharing with him. Like, well, I told you to share with him. Like, all that stuff. You kind of slow down and just take it a little more easy because it's like, well, they're not getting the best of me if I get all uppity and meet them at their level and like,
I
you know what
have
I'm
a
saying?
whole I have a whole course on toddlers that I could
What?
teach. I do. I'm offering a course to parents with toddlers to come and realize that they're doing great. I'm going to teach it at Even Flow. Toddlers are
Oh, cool.
a version of parenting because you are sleep deprived and you will be for a while. And
Yeah,
they do know that innately. I think mine used to take
really.
turns staying up throughout the night so that I would be completely tired. Like if they both slept through the same night, I would have gotten like a full 8 hours once, and then I realized that they were in cahoots. And you got to be stay ahead of your game. Just know what they're doing. There's two of you. You can, and you're both grown ups. You just are tired.
So funny.
But yeah,
Okay.
parenting is a whole nother topic. We could go
Oh my
on
gosh.
forever.
Well then I'll have to have you on for a part two sometime soon because this has been really fun. I feel like we
Yeah,
really found our flow and we really got jamming there for a little bit. And so I would love to do another session if you're open to it.
100%. I
Awesome.
know we'll be in
So
talks.
Corey, what's the best place for somebody to get connected with you?
Well, I think for the next 2 weeks at least, my Instagram handle, I'm gonna start putting stuff there because it's up and running and it has followers and it's connected to my current active community. And they're used to seeing me change. So 1 minute I'm vegan, 1 minute I'm doing a promotion video company. Now I'm a chiropractor. What is going on with her? um, so I'm gonna do the same thing here. Just kind of start posting things on my Instagram platform until I have time to truly decide what I want. Well, not even decide. It's going to come to me. It's just not time to know yet. When I know what's next, I'll name it. I'll give it a home online and I'll send people there. But for now, Instagram it's at cute Cori, and my name is spelled Cori. So at cute
Okay.
Cori.
Cute Corey. Awesome. I'll make sure that we get it linked inside of like the notes and the description and everything. So awesome. This has been another episode of Better Humans. I've been your host, Jimmy Allen. This has been Cori Kurtz, who has absolutely laid it all out on the line. And I had a really amazing time chatting with you, Cori. Thank you so much for coming on.
Same, Jimmy. Thank you so much.
Awesome.
Bye.
Everyone have an amazing day. We'll chat soon.